Hi, welcome back to the beginning of Chapter 5 of the video book of Z-fari. Zombies, zombies everywhere. If you're ready and you're comfortable, we'll begin. 6 a.m. BB had to be on the platform in 2 hours. He tried to get up once. Nope. He decided to rest for 5 minutes and try again. He tried again. Success. BB walked slowly down the hall to the bathroom. He brushed his teeth, shaved, and took a shower. Much more awake now, he walked much more quickly back to his room. BB checked the weather on his phone. Clear, partly cloudy, high in the high 70s. He looked through his clothes and found a pair of camo cargo pants, a black t-shirt with Schur's Grocery and Restaurant, Kaplan, Louisiana, in white on the right chest, and his hunting boots. He needed a hat. He would have to buy one after work. He put on his shoulder holster and slid in the Glock. He strapped his papa's knife to his right calf. He slipped on the bandolier he had filled with shells for the marlin, and he put on the hunting vest that he had bought in Wichita and filled the pockets with 6 full factory clips for the Glock. He went downstairs. Mrs. McGee was in the kitchen cooking up breakfast. "Morning, BB. Would you like some breakfast?" "Yes, ma'am, I think I would, thank you," BB said with a smile and sat down at the little kitchen table. A few minutes later, Mrs. McGee brought 2 cups of coffee to the table, went back to the counter by the stove, and returned with 2 plates filled with scrambled eggs, bacon, and home fries. "Ketchup? Hot sauce?" she asked BB. "Both, please," BB said. Mrs. McGee went to the refrigerator and returned with ketchup and a little bottle of Crystal hot sauce. BB smiled. "I saw the Crystal at the store while you were gone. I know how particular folks are about their hot sauce. I hope I got the right one," she said. "Like a letter from home," BB said, took the bottle, opened it, and shook a generous amount over the eggs. They ate quietly, with BB occasionally complimenting Mrs. McGee on her cooking. When they finished, she said, "Your lunch is in the refrigerator." "Thank you," BB told her, stood and walked to the fridge and took the brown paper bag out. "I'll see you after work, ma'am," he told her. "Have a good day, BB," she told him. BB nodded and walked out the door. It was a pleasant morning for his walk to work. He thought about getting some cheap beater car for the days when the weather was foul, but today it was beautiful. BB got to the platform about 15 minutes before his shift began. There was a blindingly neon blue Chevy Lumina SS with an almost Hans Geigerish web of clashing multicolored pinstripes covering the hood and sides of the car. He called, "It's Trooper Duvalier, coming up," and he climbed the stairs. Trooper Hayes met Trooper Duvalier at the top of the stairs. "Trooper Duvalier?" The tall, scrawny, red-haired Kansan held out his hand. "Isaac Hayes, but you can call me Ike." "Pleased to meet you, Ike," BB said. "Everybody calls me BB." The 2 men stood there, uncomfortably trying to think of something to say. "You haven't missed much since you've been gone," Ike said. "Platform 119th has had only 2 hits. Sally got an undie the day you left, and I got one this morning. A short one, about 3.5 feet tall, wearing a blue and white Pokemon Go t-shirt, olive green camo cargo shorts, and what looked like lime green Crocs, way over to the left side of the platform, near the stand of Osage orange trees." Ike was telling BB much more than he needed to, but BB figured that Ike needed to talk it out, kind of like talking to Dr. McDougal at the station. "I called it in on my cell. The station will send a drone out to verify the hit. I can sure use the commission. I just got married, and we're saving up for a house." BB jumped at the opening. "You're a newlywed. Congratulations. Where are you living? What does your wife do?" "Allison? She's a lab assistant at the Wichita Patrol Station. She's real smart." Ike laughed. "She's real tall, too. Taller than me, but just by a little. We're renting a little house about halfway between Wichita and Derby, just south of old Highway 35. "That's great, Ike," BB enthused, happy to be able to talk about anything that didn't involve the undead. "I guess you should hurry back to your bride. I'll take over here." "Thanks, BB," Ike said, and proceeded to gather up his weapons. He wore a Smith & Wesson Governor, good for the snakes if an undie gets too close, and carried an old 30-06 and a Kalashnikov. Ike was only too happy to talk about his rifles as he packed them up. "When I got this job, my daddy gave me some of his guns, a 1903 A3 Springfield, a 30-06, and a couple of his Chinese Norinco Type 56 Kalashnikovs. Daddy still has 10 or 12 of the AKs at home. They're pretty easy to get at gun shows. I bought 10 20-round magazines for when you've absolutely positively got to kill every motherfucking zombie in Kansas." Ike laughed and actually slapped his knee. Daddy showed me how to improve the ball cartridge for the Springfield. You put the bullet and seat it backwards in the case. To pull a bullet, you have to break the seal first. Then I reverse the bullets and seat them over the original charge, a little something personal for the undies." And Ike laughed and slapped his knee again. Ike finally got all of his guns and supplies packed up and started down the staircase. "That's a real nice Lumina, Ike," Beebe said in parting. Ike turned with a grin that lit up the whole morning. "Ain't she sweet? She's a V8. I added a Vortec V2T trim centrifugal supercharger, an aluminum dual-core liquid charge cooling system, a 63mm dual high-performance stainless steel exhaust system, and ceramic-coated high-performance exhaust headers and aluminum brake calipers with a 356mm by 32mm full floating directional vented and hooked pattern brake discs. I built it for drifting, but now that Allison and I want to have a family, I guess my drifting days are over." "Well, at least until your kids' legs are long enough to reach the gas pedal," Beebe said, smiling. He waved goodbye to Ike. "See you tomorrow, Ike." Ike loaded his gear into the back seat and then got into the driver's seat. 20 seconds later, the V8 roared to life. As Beebe looked over the railing of the stairs, Ike spun his car in a circle, doing a donut, throwing up a rooster tail of dirt and small rocks that clanged on the metal wall and steel staircase like a maniac drummer. After making the circle twice, Ike tore out of there like a newlywed going home to the woman he loved. And then it was quiet. Beebe unpacked his rifle, made certain it was loaded, and then set it leaning carefully on the sandbags at the point of the platform. He checked the Glock. Then he opened the storage shed and went through every item in it. The phones were charged. The red phone's light was a steady red, indicating that it was connected and there was power. There was an instruction manual for the flamethrower. Beebe took it to the swivel chair, sat down, and read it twice. He was pretty sure that he understood the flamethrower's operation. There was only one way to find out. Beebe opened the ignition valve and put the tanks on his back. When he had them strapped on, he walked to the edge of the platform and pointed the gun out to where the zombies were. Then he pressed the button that activated the spark plug. This created a small flame in front of the nozzle. The tanks fed gas through the pressure regulator to 2 connected tubes and then into the fuel hose and then to the gas pipe. Beebe pulled the fuel release trigger and then the ignition trigger, which ignited the flowing fuel, creating a fire stream that flew across the cleared area in front of the wall. If there'd been any zombies out there, they would be crispy critters now. "This is pretty cool," Beebe thought. Following the directions on the instruction booklet, Beebe shut down the flamethrower and put it away properly. When he was stowing the flamethrower, he found 2 12-gauge pump shotguns. They were serviceable but needed cleaning. He brought them out to the little table beside the swivel chair. There was a cleaning kit in the shed, and he brought that out too. He went shelf by shelf, checking everything from tarps to first aid kit to rope to duct tape and a little can of WD-40. Beebe closed the doors to the shed, but not before pulling out a pair of rangefinder binoculars. Time to see what was out there. He put the binoculars around his neck and walked to the point of the platform. He scanned the land out in front of him, left to right, and then back right to left. He lifted the binoculars to his eyes and focused at 50 yards. Much more slowly, he swept the field left to right, and then right to left. He repeated the drill, focused at 100 yards. Nothing. Beebe supposed that he had time to clean the shotguns before it was time to scan the field again. He finished cleaning the weapons and put them in the cleaning kit away. Beebe hadn't fired anything for almost 4 days now. He decided to get some practice in. He lay on the shooting mat that lay in the triangle between the sandbags at the point of the platform. He gave his rifle a visual once over. He set the focus on his scope at 75 yards and looked out over the field. To the left of where he knew the garage to be was what he thought was a big old shagbark hickory, almost 80 feet tall. About 3/4 of the way up the tree was a bare limb poking out to the right. Perfect. Beebe had loaded 6 rounds into the Marlin's magazine. Let's see how much of that branch he could shave off. The branch was completely bare of leaves. It reached out into the air about 10 or 12 feet. Beebe began at the little fork at the end of the branch. A twig reached up at about 75 degrees and a second twig reached down about 30 degrees below the horizontal. Beebe aimed for the upper twig and went through the drill as Papa taught him. Finally, he pressed the trigger. He saw the little twig explode through the magnified lens of his scope. Oh, now for the little twig sticking down. Beebe aimed again and went through the drill. He pressed the trigger. By the time Beebe finished the magazine, the branch was considerably shorter, and he had splintered wood 4 out of 6 times that he pressed the trigger. He He stood up and stretched, and then he took his rifle over to the little table and laid it down. He reached to his bandolier and, one at a time, pulled a round out and fed it into the Marlin's magazine. He did this 6 times. He was ready for zombies. He thought for a minute and decided he was also ready for lunch.